SpaceX and, space?
Yeah, space, which we will focus on quite a bit today and have done over the last few months, because, of course, space is now becoming very much an integral part not only of defence, but also of the overlap between defence, corporate interests, weather modification, surveillance, and so many other things besides. So we've got UK Space Command announcing that a satellite, the Tyche satellite, was sent into space as part of Programme ISTARI. Now, as with so many things in this age, the names are always rehashed. They're seldom anything to do with British culture. So it's just worth pointing out here that in Greek religion, Tyche is the goddess of chance, with whom the Roman Fortuna was later identified, a capricious dispenser of good and ill fortune. I thought that was a bit odd. But anyway, capricious dispenser. I just want to highlight this, as the conflict in Ukraine has shown. So the government, Ministry of Defence here, and equipment and support, just using whichever sort of sweet spot or emergency that they can. Here, of course, we've got the conflict in Ukraine, but they're talking about it being the first satellite to be launched under the Ministry of Defence's space-based STARI programme, which will deliver a constellation of satellites and supporting ground systems by 2031. So this is under the intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance function. But what I really want to draw your attention to with this slide is that the MOD are claiming to have complete ownership of this. They are making out that this is entirely their project. But we should also be very mindful of the fact that they say it will contribute to other government tasks. And they don't list those, but look at what it is able to do, to include natural disaster monitoring, development of mapping information, environmental monitoring and tracking, I've highlighted. Effectively, it's an eye in the sky, low orbit, and it is specifically tasked with capturing daylight imagery. We have a little, sorry, on back there.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a very short video of it. Here we go.
No, sorry.
Okay, never mind. It's gone, but it was part of the Defence Space Strategy, which goes back to February 2022, which was reported on very comprehensively by UK Column at the time. But it's part of a 1.4 billion investment. And again, there's going to be a network of these satellites. But again, here we see the same terminology to support greater global surveillance and intelligence for military operations. But what sort of military operations? But the science inside gives us a bit more of an answer to that, which of course is where this does come from Dstl, the Defence Science and Technology Laboratory 2022. And this is the very opening phrase in that publication. We live in times of increasing volatility and uncertainty. The threats we face today, both at home and abroad, are more complex and dynamic than ever before. So we're looking at surveillance, tracking, monitoring and military operations, and we're talking about threats at home. So I will leave you to draw your own conclusions, but I think that sends quite a clear message of where this is going. They also point out their science and technology capabilities, and it's just worth noting how many of those relate to human behaviours. We've got AI and data science, communications and networks, cyber, homeland security and CT systems, counterterrorism, human and social sciences, information systems, operational research and sensing. So it does look very much like space here. A chapter within this publication is being used as yet another means of surveilling the population. But the critical part comes out here when I talk about the MOD claiming to have ownership. They say that they will provide a test platform for sophisticated imaging and monitoring radio signals, including GPS. Well, think about GPS in this day and age. Everybody carries a GPS tracking device with them all the time, paving the way for a more collaborative and connected space communication system with our combat allies. Well, who exactly are they? Because, of course, the bit that wasn't mentioned initially was that this was only put into low orbit by Elon Musk's SpaceX. So, in fact, is it owned by the Ministry of Defence or not? And, well, let's just have a look at Mint Press News here, speculating, admittedly, but they say that Elon Musk stopped Ukraine from striking the Russian Navy by switching off Starlink. So when you think that the UK's defence, what's called a defence capability, is in effect put into orbit by somebody who owns a company privately. And then we see on the right, of course, Musk having a very friendly conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. It's perfectly reasonable to ask questions of the judgment of the government and the Ministry of Defence. So there we go. SpaceX valued at 210 billion, but as I say, it's at the moment a privately owned company. And now some slides that I've talked about in the past, just to highlight this. So SpaceX here broadcasting that they provide secure satellite comms networks for government entities, but of course a spin-off of this, or part of it, is what they call Starshield, which they say supports national security. But whose national security? And again, Starlink, which is in effect part of the same stable, is not possible to use in Russia, China, Belarus, Afghanistan, North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba, Syria, or Iran. So it just goes to show how any of these engagements that have gone into, they're spoken about as though we own them. We absolutely don't. We are totally at the behest of corporations, and in this case, individuals like Elon Musk, which from a defence point of view seems an absolutely absurd position to enter into.
So if that's space warfare in the UK,